The topic is youth violence and intentional injuries. And our guest is from Meharry Medical College, Dr. Paul Juarez. And of course, Dr. Juarez is a member of the Family and Community Medicine department at Meharry Medical College. And of course, Dr. Juarez, let me talk about the hesitations here, because I'm trying to keep all of these things straight, because you are, as we indicated, giving us some excellent information, and what we want to do is to continue that by talking about the topic this morning, and that is youth violence and intentional injuries. Let's talk about it from that perspective.
Okay. Well, as what I was saying, when I got to Charles University in Los Angeles, Dr. Haynes said there was a new report out by the Secretary of Health and Human Services that identified 6 areas that contributed disproportionately to the health of minority populations in terms of adverse outcomes. They said, choose one. And with my background in juvenile corrections and in terms of working with youth, I decided to choose an area that they're calling intentional injuries, which is violence. And it's not just youth violence. The topic really deals with everything from child abuse to intimate partner violence, youth violence, to elder abuse, to sexual assault and rape as well. And those are the major categories. So when I started, again, he just said, go out and do something. I started meeting with other faculty at the medical school and talked with people, and they were in 2 to 1. Everybody said, this is a major problem we're dealing with. Youth violence is something that affects us all. Didn't matter if they were in a family medicine department, a surgery department, an OB/GYN department, internal. Everybody was dealing with youth violence in one way or another. So we started out, we did a study, and again, I had faculty involvement from all the departments. It was really quite an amazing experience. And we developed a survey, and I had a couple medical students that actually went around one summer, and they interviewed people who were admitted to the hospital for some sort of intentional injury. And the stories that we got were really amazing, and they were very different than what you see in the media. In the media, all you see is gangs and drugs, and it was like this was the cause of all the problems, and we found very little of it. And this was in the mid-'80s. Very little of it was actually cause. The actual cause was either gang-related or drug-related. It was fights and people dealing with circumstances that got out of control, and that was what we're seeing over and over again, whether it was people out on, out in a bar or sort of in a park, or, a domestic violence situation. It was just not what people were traditionally seen as, what people expected in terms of youth violence. So we did that study of patients who had been admitted, and the next summer we did another study because we knew from our discussions with people across the medical center that it wasn't limited to patients who were admitted, that they were seeing them in these outpatient clinics as well. And so I had students going around to all of the outpatient clinics, there were about 12 of them, and reviewing records the next summer. And what we found is that there are far more people seen in outpatient settings than were admitted to the hospital. And so the admissions were something like 6 a day at that time, but we identified about 25 victims of intentional injuries in the outpatient clinics every day. I mean, that was really a huge number. Those numbers were very, very, very large. And so when we started looking at it, and then some of the putting it in perspective with some of the national data, we found that youth violence in terms of really had a disproportionate impact on minority populations.